coming. I thought it would be nice just to have a few words about what our program does. We work largely in collaboration with Global Ties US and the US Department of State to host the premier short-term professional exchange program called the International Visitor Leadership Program. Now on the side, we do a few other fee-for-service programs. We also help the university host the Mandela Washington program. We just helped host some Kenyan university administrators. But the principal program is the International Visitor Leadership Program, or the IVLP program. These folks can't be nominated. They are identified by our ambassadors or consulars abroad as emerging leaders in the field. Today, 1/5 of the heads of state that serve have come through the IVLP program. So they have been to the United States. Names like Tony Blair, Theresa May, Nicolas Sarkozy, Felipe Calderon. You may recognize some of the folks that have come through this program. What Civic does is we try to convince the State Department that Eastern Iowa has something to offer these folks, that we have experience to share. So the wonderful interns that stood up earlier help us identify potential programs and write proposals to convince the State Department that one of the 3 or 4 cities or areas that they visit should be Eastern Iowa. Once we get a program, we reach out to our community. And I have lived here, not to date myself, but since 1986, and I'm always amazed at the number and the amount of amazing work that goes on in our community. And so we connect these emerging leaders who may be young journalists, they may be young farmers, they may be mayors or governors trying to solve problems, and we connect them with folks in our community who do the same type of work. And these folks share their experiences, they share their challenges, they share their great ideas. While they're here, we also take the opportunity to try to get them to understand Americans better, to understand the diversity that we have in our city, of opinion, of ideas, and also the rich cultural heritage. So as I look out, a lot of the folks in this room have hosted visitors in their homes for dinner. They've gone to the airport and greeted our guests as they've arrived. And they've also helped our visitors get from point A to point B around our community. So thanks to all of you, both our local professional resources, but also our local members and volunteers who help make this possible. So it's one of those programs that builds, not burns bridges. And I like to think that every day we are creating a powerful force of people in our community that are committed to positive global engagement. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Tonight, we're very privileged to welcome Charity Nebbe as our evening's MC. Ms. Nebbe grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa. She began her career in public radio at WOI in Ames, Iowa, when she was a student at Iowa State. And she's been working in public radio around the country ever since. She returned to Iowa and to Iowa Public Radio in 2010. As many of you probably know, Charity is now the host of IPR's Talk of Iowa, heard weekday mornings at 10. She is also the host of Iowa Ingredients on Iowa Public Television. She was instrumental in bringing Let Me Run, a running and character development program for boys, to Eastern Iowa. And she serves as a volunteer coach and chair of the advisory board for Let Me Run Eastern Iowa Corridor. I'm very excited to welcome Charity Nebbe as our MC.
Well, you invited me here and then gave me all the fun jobs. So,
We tried.
Thank you very much. I am delighted to be here, and I have the privilege this evening not only to introduce our keynote speaker in just a little while, but also in awarding the Citizen Diplomat Awards. Now, this award recognizes meaningful engagement with international visitors by individuals and also local organizations. Each of the recipients this evening has demonstrated a consistent commitment to citizen diplomacy by participating as a local resource for short-term professional exchange programs, and of course in building ties globally and locally. We have 3 awards to give tonight. One honors an individual, another a nonprofit organization, and also a business. And of course, this room is full of people who have engaged and done their best to build these global ties. So we're going to recognize some extraordinary individuals that really have gone above and beyond. And of course, the work that you all do helps visitors develop professionally, but also shapes the way that our visitors think and feel about the United States and the people who live here. This work helps us share the diversity of our culture, to break down stereotypes, to strengthen understanding across national borders, and hopefully helps build a more peaceful and prosperous world. It's work that I know we all feel is more crucial and critical now, as crucial and critical now as it ever has been before. Perhaps it feels more vital and urgent with each passing day. So I get to announce our first award. Our first award tonight goes to Abbey Hills Farm. The business and operational model offered by Abbey Hills Farm, as well as the expertise of owner-operator Laura Krause, allowed Civic to call upon it for several different types of programs, ranging from GMO seed alternatives to new farmer mentoring and sustainable agriculture. Abbey Hills Farm is located in Mount Vernon and has hosted visitors from all around the world, including visitors from Afghanistan and Thailand. A visitor commented that their meeting at Abbey Hills was a high point and that it was very relevant with a great discussion and exchange of ideas and experience. And Laura Krause could not be with us tonight, but accepting the award on behalf of Abbey Hills Farm is Maria Ortega-Kummer. Maria?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm very happy to be able to receive this on behalf of Laura. I believe that she embodies hospitality and generosity of time, which I believe that Civic promotes. And when I asked her about her motivation, she said that most of her visitors are connected with agriculture. And so many of them are females, and she's particularly interested in women who are farmers, so that makes her happy to be able to host them. Her organic farm, she said, is low tech, and so what they learn at her farm is transferable from her farm to their home countries. And she also said that if she could travel internationally, she would visit farms. And so I appreciate you responding to Laura's heart and farm, and thank you very much.
Our second award this evening goes to a nonprofit or government organization, and this is awarded to the Iowa City Police Department. The Iowa City Police Department has consistently responded to Civic's requests to share the community programs that they work with our visitors. And this past summer, Chief Matherly met with the Mandela Washington Fellows to discuss the role of the police in our community. Visitors have been able to learn about the Citizens Police Academy as a model of resident education and engagement. They've explored the role that specially trained officers play in collaborating with local rape victim and domestic violence programs to respond to gender-based violence incidents. And visitors have been able to witness the work being done to build trust in the immigrant and refugee communities, regardless of status. And just this week, the Iowa City Police Department met with mayors and provincial governors on the role of the police in local governance. During fiscal year 2017, they met with delegates from 23 different countries.
Wow.
An evaluation by one of the visitors, this one from Bolivia, said, "The meeting with the Iowa City Police was not only interesting, but also professionally valuable." And accepting the award on behalf of the ICPD is Chief Jody Matherly.
I can't be allowed to handle sharp objects like that. I am honored to accept this award on behalf of the hardworking men and women of the Iowa City Police Department. It's very easy for me to steer a ship and sit in my office and take care of things, but it's truly the police officers, our administrative staff that have the rubber to the ground and are actually doing the job, including Officer Rob Cash, who's to our left here, and Captain Bill Campbell, who is Rob's supervisor. They do such a great job. I will tell you, we have some great successes in these meetings with these folks, and one of the pillars in the presidential task force for 21st century policing is to build trust and legitimacy with the community. We have an opportunity to do that here in the state, particularly here in Iowa City, with the support of our city council, Mayor Throgmorton leading that. They're very supportive of those efforts, and we see some success with that. I will tell you, as we meet with these groups and we trade ideas, some of them work really well, and some of them not so much. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we met with some folks, leaders from the Philippines, and they said, we're very interested in these programs to build that trust and that relationship. And so I mentioned Coffee with a Cop. Who's heard of that? Yeah. Everybody's heard of Coffee with a Cop. So now we've one-upped it, and if you got your email or your Facebook post from Shannon, our communications director, we just created queso with a cop. This will be 2:30 in the afternoon in case you're not an early riser. We hook up with Pancheros downtown, we have queso and hang out. So pretty exciting. The folks in the Philippines really latched onto that one. They're like, this is perfect. So they were excited. Now, it's quickly an example where it doesn't work so well. One of the folks last summer from the Mandela Fellowship wanted to do a ride-along. She said, we don't get to do that in our country. I said, you can do it here. So we put her in a police car. I told the officer, take good care of her. The next day I said, how'd it go? He goes, well, she was only with me about a half hour. I said, oh, she wasn't feeling well? Well, no, I kind of lost her. I said, what do you mean lost her? This isn't good. He made a mistake. She was a paramedic. She was in the medical field. And they stopped by Johnson County Ambulance Service, which has cooler equipment, cooler vehicles, and she didn't want to leave. So he's like, you guys got, we'll take care of her, we'll take her on a couple calls. So she was excited, it worked very well. We lost our ride along. We're happy to be involved in this program. We learned as much from these folks as they do us, and we couldn't be more happy to be of assistance. And thank you so much for recognizing us.
For their outstanding contributions to citizen diplomacy. And this year we recognize Dr. David Reif. Dr. David Reif is a professor and director at the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at the University of Iowa. He's published over 30 journal articles and book chapters on topics ranging from political communication to presidential communication to the sociology and history of news. His last book, Can Journalism Survive?, is an ethnographic study of newspaper newsrooms in the United States since the 1970s. He's currently working on a new book titled Journalism and the Public, as well as conducting research on regional online news systems in the United States. With civic delegations, Dr. Reif has discussed best practices in education of future journalists, our so-called fake news crisis, the importance of fact-checking, myth-busting, and investigative journalism, as well as the role that social media might play in promoting social and political change. And additionally, Dr. Reif has helped facilitate opportunities for civics visitors to interact with students, including a panel discussion with German journalists and University of Iowa students on the U.S. presidential elections, which I'm sure was fascinating. And here's a testimonial from a recent visitor. It said, the best meeting of the visit was with Professor Reif. He encouraged our questions and I learned much. So Dr. David Reif.
host delegations, it's my faculty and staff as well. And I'm always thankful that my faculty and staff step up when we're asked to host these folks. As you can imagine, lots of people around the world want to know more about what's happening in American journalism these days. And they have lots of questions, and we're happy to do what we can to explain what's happening and why from our perspective. But I have to tell you, we learn as much from them as they learn from us. Journalism is practiced all over the world, and everywhere it shares a family resemblance, but it's always a little different elsewhere. Probably my favorite delegation to come was from Russia. We had a group of Russian journalists come right after, the 2016 election, and they had a million questions about President Trump. And that was just the most engaging conversation because I got to ask a lot of questions about their president, Putin, and how journalism works under those conditions. And so it was a very entertaining and interesting conversation. I always enjoyed hosting these folks. Thank you so much for this award. It means a lot. On behalf of these folks.
Congratulations to all of the recipients and to everybody who is engaged in this work. And now it's time for the main event. We are so privileged to have Dr. Simon Estes with us tonight, and I've been told that you turned down the opportunity to speak at a United Nations event in London to keep this engagement.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Tonight, and in London right now they're experiencing some unseasonable warmth. I'm not sure you made the right choice, but I hope you feel the warmth in our hearts tonight. And I'll give you a little bit of an outline of Dr. Estes' story. If you don't know his story, though, you should do a little bit of research. He's such an extraordinary man who's lived such an extraordinary life. You could start with an Iowa Public Radio interview. IowaPublicRadio.org. Great place to start. Dr. Estes grew up in Centerville, Iowa. He is an internationally renowned opera singer, educator, philanthropist, and humanitarian. He graduated from the University of Iowa and moved on to the Juilliard School in 1964. And just that small sounding step involved so much. His passion for music, his dedication to hard work, overcoming prejudice and so many obstacles in his way. A year later, he made his professional debut at the Deutsche Opera in Berlin, and his singing career has spanned the globe over 6 decades. He sang 6 consecutive seasons at the Metropolitan Opera in New York from 1981 to 1986. He's sung for 2 presidents at the White House, twice at the Vatican, and is the only singer to commemorate both the 25th and 50th anniversaries of the United Nations. And he's taken his talent and his fame and invested in others in such meaningful ways through his work as a remarkable and gifted educator, through his scholarship funds and educational opportunities in the United States and abroad. And I'll tell about just one of the many programs of the Simon Estes Foundation. In 2013, the foundation inaugurated a program called Iowa Students Care to engage Iowa students in the cause of eliminating malaria in Africa by raising funds to provide treated bed nets for African children. The Eliminate Malaria campaign was engaged in partnership with the United Nations and the Nothing But Nets campaign, and in 2017, Dr. Estes was honored by the UN with a Lifetime Impact Award for his work. And in addition to teaching at Boston University and Juilliard School of Music, he's also taught at Wartburg College and DMAC and Iowa State University, and shared his gifts with so many students around the state of Iowa. We're so glad that you've come back and invested in our students as well, and of course around the world. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Simon Estes.
Thank you. I
deeply honored and humbled and touched to be here today. And I've sung a lot in London, so I do miss the warm weather. Anyhow, I'm sure she mentioned I was born in Centerville, Iowa, way back in 1938, so I just recently celebrated my 80th birthday. So I feel at home with all of us advanced citizens. But my grandfather was a slave, so for $500, I have a picture of him and my grandmother. My father couldn't read or write. My mother got an 11th grade education in Centerville, Iowa. But the values that were important to my mother, my father, my 3 older sisters were faith and education and diversity. I didn't dream when I was growing up in Centerville that I would get farther east than perhaps in Chicago, but I had been to Hong Kong and Tokyo, and it was farther east than that, and Australia, if you go the southern route. But it's been a great education and a great honor to have been able to have sung all around the world. Grew up in Centerville, graduated from high school in 1956. And I remember how I was motivated by some educators in Centerville. I've always felt that the people who should be, that I looked up to and admired when I was growing up in Centerville, were school teachers, ministers, and nurses and doctors. Because education is so very, very important, and health is very, very important. And I'm so grateful that I was motivated and inspired by the school teachers in Centerville. My junior year in high school, E.W. Fannin, who was the superintendent of all the schools in Centerville, invited me to come over to his house one afternoon and have a piece of cake and lemonade with him and his wife. And the first thing I thought of, what in the world have I done now with the superintendent? He's invited me over to his house. But it ended up being a pleasant experience. He said, Simon, if you continue to keep your nose to the grindstone, I'll never forget those words. He said, you're going to be somebody someday. And I said, well, thank you, Mr. Fannin. I had no idea what he was talking about, of course. But obviously he saw something in me that I didn't know was inside of me as a young kid. And I had another teacher named Bill Jerome in high school who also inspired me and motivated me. And when I was a little boy growing up in Centerville, we went to the Second Baptist Church. The First Baptist Church was the white one, and the Second Baptist was colored. But the ministers told me when I was a little boy, he said, that boy's going to be a minister someday. Oh. Well, I didn't end up being a minister. But I loved my first great experience in having left Centerville when I came to Iowa City in 1957. That was 61 years ago. And I remember when I came up to get some information with some of my friends from Centerville, I saw something that I'd never seen before in my life in Centerville. And I think most of us advanced citizens will understand this. I saw a couple kissing in public. My friends and I in Centerville, they were all in my class. They said, did you see that? We've never seen that in Centerville. And of course, they still don't kiss in public today. Fast, I know one of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not lie. But I experienced something that I didn't experience in Centerville because of the educational atmosphere here in Iowa City, because of the university. They were certainly some of the happiest days of my life. I didn't know that I had a voice to sing opera until a teacher heard me singing here in Iowa City with the old Gold Singers. Some of you probably remember that choral group. And his name was Charles Kellis. And he came here in 1961. I always tell students today that do as I say and not as I did, because I changed my major 4 times at the University of Iowa. I first thought I was going to be a singer, and my voice didn't change until my senior year in high school. And Don Gunderson, who was the music and choral director at the high school in Centerville, noticed that I had some sort of a special voice when I was in junior high school. So he asked the principal if I could come over and sing in the high school choir. And that had never been done before. And the principal, Mr. Howard, he said, okay. But I sang first soprano with the girls. I enjoyed sitting in that section. But I was first soprano. I could sing a high C that this girl sang. I played football, basketball, track, and sports. And then my senior year in high school, I went out for football again. And then we had choir rehearsal when classes started about 2 weeks after football practice. And I went to sing, and I hardly had any singing voice. So Don Gunnarsson was really shocked because he had told me I someday could earn a living by being a singer. And I thought singing like Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Gary Coleman, that type of singing. And so he sent me to a doctor. We didn't have any throat specialists in Centerville, but I just went to a family doctor. And he looked at my throat, and he said, I don't see anything wrong. He said, I have a feeling your voice is changing. Well, I was already 18 years of age. And that's what happened. My voice changed from first soprano down to bass. I had a very small range, so I thought, well, I can't be a singer, so I went pre-med here too. Because I always wanted to help people. And then I was interested in theology. I was interested in social psychology. And in 1958, again, when I first started singing in the Old Gold Singers, I came in 57 from junior college in Centerville, one year to, it's called junior college, I think it's now called Indian Hills. Does that sound right? Okay. And so I decided that, well, I would like to sing in the University of Iowa choir here. And so somebody, remember the name Harold Stark, anyone? Yep. When he was the head of the voice department here at the University of Iowa, I went to Mr. Stark and I said, Mr. Stark, could I sing in the choir? And he said, no, your voice isn't good enough. Well, he was the head of the voice department, so it was a logical thing to say. I said, could I take voice lessons with you? He said, no, I wouldn't waste my time with you. You have to count. That's really true. And so he said, however, there's a young teacher coming here this fall. Maybe he will take you. I said, well, okay, I just want to sing. And so in 1961, Charles Kellis came here and was on the faculty at the University of Iowa in music. And he heard me singing, and he said, you know, you have a voice to sing opera. Well, having come from Centerville, I said, what's opera? And he had me come over and listen to some recordings of great opera singers. Cesare Sietti, who was great and was Italian-based, Lane King Price, and some of these great singers. And one symphonic piece, Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade. He wanted me to hear this type of music. So after I finished listening to this music, I said to Mr. Kellis, I said, I really like that stuff. I just call it stuff. So he said, I'm going to give you voice lessons. And I didn't have any money to pay Mr. Kellis. I said, well, Mr. Kellis, if I ever have a career, because he said, you're going to have a career in opera. I said, I want to pay you someday. He said, Simon, I don't want any money. He said, I just want you to remain humble the way your parents taught you. And he said, you will have a career. So he gave me voice lessons. And then he said, you need to go to an all-musical school. So he arranged an audition at Juilliard School of Music. This was now 1963. I flew out to New York. I think I was more excited about looking at big tall buildings than I was singing for Juilliard School of Music. And I was so naive, having come from Centerville, I didn't realize the importance and the magnitude of what Juilliard School of Music was. It was like maybe going to a tunnel and singing. So I fly out there and I sang my pieces that Mr. Kellis taught me. And when I finished singing, I found out later this was very unusual what they did. They said, would you just wait outside the door there? I said, okay. And really, I wasn't even nervous. Can you imagine that singing for Juilliard School? Because the Bible tells us to get knowledge. It also says if you get too much knowledge, you get puffed up. You get in trouble by the pastor. That's what I said. But so I was just very naive from Centerville. So I went out, I was walking up and down the hall of Juilliard. They called me back in, and they said, well, we'd like to give you a full scholarship to come to Juilliard. And I said, oh, okay, thanks. They looked at me like, this is really a weird guy. And Mr. Kelly had told them I didn't have any money or anything. And they said, and we are going to get you a Rockefeller grant. Rockefeller, rocks. So one of those people dealing rocks. I didn't know what Rockefeller was. And once again I said, oh, okay, thanks. So anyhow, I went to Juilliard. I'm skipping a lot of my childhood because it would take forever to tell you all about that. But I was at Juilliard in 1963 until 1964, 65. And I met a girlfriend at Juilliard who graduated in 64 in this spring. And I wanted to visit her Christmas time in December 1964, but I didn't have any money. And she had already graduated. She went to Germany, and she got a manager in Düsseldorf, Germany. I tried to help her get a job in opera houses. And I wanted to see her Christmas time. Her name was Pauline. And I said, well, Pauline, you got to get something for me to sing over there. And I said, I got to tell the truth because I can't tell a lie. I said, see if you can find somebody for me to sing. And I can try to raise some money to come over and see you. But in the meantime, I would still do an audition. So she told her manager, his name was Friedrich Posch in Düsseldorf, Germany, that she knew this student colleague of hers at Juilliard that, had a nice voice. So I went to the NAACP, I'm sure you all know that organization. And again, my naivety was very important in playing that role again. I walked down to New York City, one of these big tall buildings, to the NAACP, and I walked in and I said, hello, my name is Simon Estes, and I got a chance to go to Germany and sing an audition for a manager. And they looked at me again like I was some kind of a nut or something. They said, well, we don't have funds to give somebody to fly to Europe to do an audition. And I said, well, it's a very important manager. She said, well, let me find somebody else who you talk to. So I spoke to someone else, and then I said, it was the second person, I said, my name is Simon Estes, and I'm a student at Juilliard School of Music. They said, Juilliard School of Music? I thought, oh, I said the right thing. So I talked with my little case, and they said, we're very happy the way you presented this. They said, we're going to take up a collection here in the office for you. They collected $287, and they said, we're going to send you to the New York Community Trust Fund. So I go there, and they gave me that money to fly over to audition, but really to see my girlfriend. So I sent to this agent in Düsseldorf. This was just before Christmas. I flew on the 24th of December, landed in Düsseldorf Christmas morning. And right after Christmas morning, 2 days later, I auditioned for this agent. And I was still a student at Juilliard. And he said, could you wait till after the first of the year? I'd like to send you to Berlin to audition for the Opera House in West Berlin. I was still a student at Juilliard. I was a little more educated and worldly. Having gone to Juilliard for 2 years, I realized the world was more than Centerville and Iowa City. But I went there and I auditioned, and they offered me a contract to sing in the opera Aida, April 19, 1965. I'd never been on a stage before. I'd never sung with a professional orchestra. But I didn't realize at that time yet that God had given me this very special talent to sing. This is why today I give all the praise and glory to God, because He was the one that gave me that talent, those very spatial vocal cords to sing opera. So I fly back to New York to see the Dean of Juilliard School of Music. Gideon Waldrop was his name, and I was all excited. Dean Waldrop, guess what? I got a chance to sing in Berlin at the Opera House, and the Deutsche Oper, the German Opera House, is like our Metropolitan Opera House. And I thought he'd really be excited. I said, I get to go over and sing on April 19th, and I'm going to sing the King in the opera Aida. And Dean Waldrop said, well, Simon, I'm sorry, you just have to tell them no. Because if you don't finish Juilliard School of Music, you will never have a career. Well, my heart just sank. So I thought, well, I'll go see somebody else. So Christopher West was the head of the opera theater in Juilliard School of Music. So was Christopher West, because I was sure he would understand. He's an opera man. I told him this. He was British, in London again. He said, well, Simon, you'll have to tell them that. He said, because if you don't finish Juilliard School of Music, you shall never have a career. Heart called in. I thought, what am I going to do? But something inside of maybe it was God. I don't remember if I prayed about it. But something said, go east, young man, go east, not go west like in the United States we'd say. So I went over there and I sang in an opera in 1965, and that really started my career. And in 1966, the State Department contacted me. This all happened so fast, that's why I know it was all arranged by God before I was even born.
Yep.
They wanted me to represent the United States in Russia, in Moscow. It was the first year, because you just talked about Russia, that they had it open to singers. Before, it was always instrumentalists. Van Cliburn, remember Van Cliburn, the famous pianist? Well, he won that in 1958, first prize. They gave him a ticket, tape parade in New York City, etc. And so I went to Moscow. I won't, it's a long story, so I will cut it short. But anyhow, I got third prize, the bronze medal. And that was enough that President Johnson invited me to come to Washington, D.C. and sing at the White House. And my mother and my father were invited. My father had passed away, but my mother was still alive. And I said, Mother, you can come to the White House. And she said, oh, son, I can't go up in that White House. I wouldn't know what silverware to use. I don't have anything to wear. She said, Mother, just be yourself. I said, you'll be fine. And I said, look, they're going to pay your airplane ticket. You can get on an airplane. And they said they put you in the Mayflower Hotel. Well, anyhow, my mother came. And remember Victor Borga? My mother was sitting at the table with Victor Borga. And all these wealthy people from Johnson was president from Texas, and they were talking about their oil wells and all this sort of stuff. And my wonderful mother did a great job. She said, well, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and I have oil on my land. And they looked at her, Iowa. She said, oh yes. She said, my car leaks oil in the front yard. Great job. Well, they were all laughing so hard, and I am sure that Victor Borga used that in his stunts the rest of his life, this colored lady from Des Moines, Iowa, had oil on her land. But that was an honor to sing for president. And since then, I've sung for 6 presidents of the United States, going back to Johnson through Obama, both parties. I've sung for Nelson Mandela. I've sung for 23 presidents of 23 different countries. I've sung for royalty, kings and queens. Many great religious figures, such as 2 popes at the Vatican. Even though I'm not Catholic, I sang for Billy Graham, Crusade, Madison Square Garden. Archbishop Desmond Tutu sang for the Nobel Prize Committee. All of these opportunities and privileges and honors I've had simply because God gave me a talent to sing.
Yeah.
And I've always loved people, and I've always wanted to help my whole life since I was a child. God put that inside of me. And even though I came from a home that was very, very poor, I don't think my father ever brought home a check for more than $18 a week for a family of 6. We didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity, we had the lanterns. But my mother and father knew the value of education and faith. And so I was brought up with those 2 pillars, the foundation of faith in God and the importance of getting an education. Even though my father could not read or write, he always said, son, you must get an education because it's something that nobody can take away from you. So they really stressed education for me. Of course, we went to church every Sunday, 2 times. Sunday morning and Sunday night. When I I was 11 years old, my mother said, son, I had 3 older sisters. She said, why don't we read the Bible through together? And I was 11 years old. I said, oh, okay. That's my favorite answer, okay. And so she said, all we have to do is read 3 chapters a day and 5 on Sunday, and we will complete the Bible in a year. So we did that. That was the first time I read the Bible through. Since then, I've read it through 2 more times. I'm on my 3rd time now, Pastor. But I realized that it truly is the greatest book that was ever written. It's the most sold book. It's a book that's just about education, knowledge, faith, brotherly love, kindness, patience, etc., etc. And that's why to this day I read and study my Bible every day, because it gave me, along with the great instruction from my mother and father, to be kind and never to hate, regardless of sociological problems or racial discrimination. When I was a little boy growing up in Centerville, colored people, we were called colored in those days, we were not allowed to swim in the swimming pool. And eventually they would let us swim on Saturdays, but from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And then we had to get out of the pool, and they put more disinfectant in the water. We were not allowed to sit downstairs in a movie theater with white people. We had to sit up in a corner called a crow's nest next to the projector room, which was loud, and the toilets. For example, if I would come home and tell my mother that a white boy hit me or called me the N-word, and I was maybe 7, 8, 9 years of age, my mother said, well, now, boy, son, you get down on your knees and you pray for that boy. No, wait a minute, mother, you didn't understand. He hit me. He called it, get down on your knees and pray. When I started singing opera, I sang in most of the major opera houses. Started in 65. And I remember I called my mother from New York City, and I'm not ashamed to admit I was in tears. I said, Mother, I sung in Rome, and London, and Vienna, and Paris, etc., etc. And they won't let me sing in the opera houses in my own country. She said, well, now, son, you get down on your knees and you pray. Well, I'm singing all the major opera houses in the United States, as well as all around the world. I'm singing 84 different opera houses. Singing in German, Italian, French, Spanish, Russian, and English. I didn't know that God had given me the talent to memorize. I could memorize a whole opera. I didn't know this until I started singing in Berlin. In 4 days. I wasn't exceptionally intelligent. I had to work hard and study, but He gave me the talent. We know that God gives every human being a talent. I really do believe that, having traveled around the world. Most people never find out what that talent is. But when I lecture all around the world, I tell young people, get alone sometime where it's quiet and think, what do you really want to do? What do you really love to do? And think about it, because you have a talent. And a talent doesn't always have to be to sing or play an instrument. It can be a talent of love, loving another human being. My parents always taught my 3 older sisters, I think, never hate white people. No matter what they do, you must love them. And believe it or not, that wasn't difficult for me growing up. I remember in 3rd grade, incidentally, when I graduated out of high school, so I was a colored person in my high school. I wasn't aware that I was colored until the 3rd grade. And I remember Linda Helm asked Gail Miller, she said, can you love Simon even though he's colored? I remember Gail hesitated. She said, well, yes. Linda said, well, I love him. He was 2 little white girls. And then I was aware that I was colored, even though Centerville had 8,000 people because of the coal mines back in those days. But there were only about 200 colored people. I didn't realize that we were poor when I was growing up in our little house. That house is still there in Centerville, 910 East Jackson Street.
Wow.
It's a little house that would fit from this area of the stage, maybe over to that wall, this area. It wasn't big. It wasn't as big as this much space. As I said before, we didn't have running water, we didn't have an indoor toilet, we didn't have ice, we had ice box, we had lanterns. But we had love, and we had faith, and we had the Bible. And my parents never taught my sisters and me to hate. And I remember my mother made a statement or a question, but she never said anything bad. She just simply said, you know, I just don't know why white people treat us colored people this way. Those are the strongest words my mother and poor father ever said. My father was a man of few words because he couldn't read, he couldn't write. But they just taught us the power of love and strength and courage and determination, dedication and diligence. That's what they taught me. And this day, that's why I really pastor. Probably he's a retired minister, and I keep looking at him because he told me some things, but I just have learned my whole life. Here I've traveled all around the world. The most important part of living on this earth are two reasons: to love God, to serve God, and to serve one another. And he gave us these 10 commandments, but Jesus came along and gave us a total of 11, because he said to love God with all your soul, your heart, and your mind. And he said, the second one is like that first one, love your neighbor as yourself. Now that has been my philosophy my whole life. And I've traveled all around the world. I wouldn't have to name all the countries, but I have sung on every continent on this earth, except the Antarctica. I always say the penguins haven't invited me there, but I do wear their costumes sometimes. But I thank God gave us diversity. I think he made us different to test the quality of us as human beings. And we love somebody else, even if they don't look the way we look. If they have a different color skin, or different shape of eyes. We're all God's children. And God doesn't mention discrimination or prejudice in the Bible. We know there are different types of wars and all of that, but we're all human beings. And it's incredible to think how he created us from the very beginning. When a couple is married, and they decide they want to have a child, how that sperm just swims upstream, as we know, and it meets this egg, and what starts happening? A heartbeat begins. And then the next most important organ happens. You've all seen the MRIs, I'm sure you have. That heart, the brain, it starts to build this pretty big. And it's miraculous. I have 3 daughters. I was always present when each one of my daughters were born. See these little babies come out with 4 fingers and 2 thumbs and eyes and ears. What a blessing it is to have healthy children. But they were all little human beings. And right now, today, if I needed to have an organ transplant, this lady sitting right there, it could match. You can save my life, I can save your life. You're a woman, I'm a man. You're white, I'm colored. We're all human beings. And having lived abroad most of my life in Europe, I lived in Switzerland for 35 years because I was singing in all of the opera houses. And 2 of my daughters were born in Switzerland and 1 in the United States. But it was a great education to live outside of the United States. When you talk about diversity and your organization, it's been a great education to have lived in all of those countries in Europe. I've sung in 84 different opera houses around the world. I've sung with 115 different orchestras all around the world. I've sung 102 different roles in opera in all those languages. And all because God gave me a talent to sing. the greatest gift he gave to me is a gift of love and a gift to forgive if somebody hurts you or mistreats you. My mother, my daddy said, you love them anyhow. And this is what's carried me all around the world. And sure, I do have some sadness in my heart, the fact that we human beings under 6,000 years, we have made great strides in medicine and in education and in science, but we still haven't conquered this strange thing of hate that we can't get along as human beings. Regardless of skin color, we can be from different countries, and we can't get along. We still are killing each other because of hatred or because of a piece of land. Oh, this is our land, this is our country. It amazes me just because I have flown all around this globe. And it's been such a informative experience and a journey to see how no matter where you go on earth, human beings all look the same. I thank God, as I said earlier, made us different to test the character of us as human beings. Can we love somebody if they look different from the way we look or speak a different language or come from a different country? He only made one race, and that is the human race. When I was a student at the University here at Iowa, I took a course 1 year in theology. And I remember something that the professor said. I've never heard anybody talk about it like this, the way he spoke about it, but I've never forgotten it. He said that we were different because of geography. And he said, the people, we know that civilization began northeast Africa. And he said, the people that stayed there for thousands of years, they were exposed to the sun. This was a white professor too. So he got suntans. But that part didn't get suntan because it was long. Their hands are like that. So I have a little line separating the line from the other. The bottoms of my feet didn't have the sun. My nose, over thousands of years, became wider because hot air rises. His teacher said this. And he said, and the people who went to Europe and farther north they went, he said their body had to make an adaptation to the climate. So their noses became more narrow. So if too much cold air would go in and their lungs couldn't handle it, and they wouldn't survive. And he said people in Asia, we know they lived in caves. And all of us know what we do when we go into a dark room. We squint.
Oh, no.
So, an extra layer, now medical people will know this better than I, it's called a levator papillae superioris. An extra little layer of skin, eyelid formed there from squinting for thousands of years.
Oh, my God.
But we know that any person of Asian descent can go to a plastic surgeon, and they can remove that little layer, and their eyes will look like yours or mine. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever done a scientific controlled study of that, but I've always thought that's very, very interesting, because I've sung in Asia, and I've sung in South America, and I've sung in Sweden, and Finland, and Norway, and Alaska, all around. But what is important on inside of all of us is this incredible muscle that beats a billion times throughout our lifetime. And we have this area here that has billions of cells and trillions of neurons that makes all of us human beings. And we all have the capacity to have one of the greatest emotions of all, and that is love. And love is stronger than hate. Justice is stronger than injustice. Freedom is better than captivity. Peace is better than war. All of these emotions can be controlled between this heart and this mind. And I'm not here tonight to give you a lecture, because I don't do that. I just what I've learned and experienced. But it's been so wonderful to have been on a journey. It started in Centerville, Iowa in 1938. And we grew up in a little house that we didn't have any money for. And there was a lot of discrimination in Centerville. There was a restaurant called the Bluebird. We got one here, I think, Bluebird, but they couldn't eat in there. But we never, ever had hate. I was singing with the Chicago Lyric Opera in 1971. And I found out that I could buy a Mercedes-Benz in Germany, the factory, and it would be a lot cheaper. My dad had a Model T Ford. But I thought, well, maybe I'll buy one. So I bought one in 1971. And it was a 280 SE Mercedes-Benz. And it only cost $7,800, brand new in the factory. I drove it around Europe, and I brought it back to the United States. And I was singing that same fall with the Chicago Lyric Opera. And you wonderful policemen are exceptions. I want you to know that today. So anyhow, I was driving to a rehearsal, and I got stopped by a policeman in Chicago. I left my car window, rolled the window down, and said, "Hey, officer," he said, "you just shut up and give me your license." I said, "Well, there's something wrong." He said, "Just give me your license." So I gave him my license. He said, "Where'd you get this car?" I said, "Well, I bought it." I said, "But have I done something wrong?" He said, "I want to see the sales slip for your car." I said, "Well, officer, I bought it in Germany, and I don't have the sales slip, but I paid for it." And he said, "I want to see the sales slip." I said, "I don't have it." So he said, "You stay right there," and he called another police car. And he made me in between them, and they took me down to the police station. And they took me in because they thought I had stolen the car. So I called Carol Fox, who was the head of the Chicago Lyric Opera, told her I was down at the police station, told her what had happened. She hit the ceiling, she called the lawyer called. Anyhow, they let me go. But I was there 10 weeks, and I was stopped 10 times. Not one time did I get a ticket. They thought I had stolen the car. But you know something? I didn't hate those policemen at all. I just thought, well, they're doing the only thing. When I was in 1961, when I was here in Iowa City, my mother called me from Des Moines and said, "Son, come to Des Moines and meet when your daddy's in the hospital." I said, "What's the matter?" When she said, "He's very sick." They transported me from Centerville to Iowa to Des Moines to go to the Veterans Hospital because we didn't have any money, we didn't have any insurance. So I came, I said, "What's the matter?" They said, "We had it." The doctor says he has a heart condition. I said, "But Mother and Daddy had no history of much, you know." They said his heart is really bad. So I went to the doctor who was looking after my father. I said, "I'm Simon Estes." My dad's name is Simon too. I said, "My dad's really crying about pain." I said, "I just wanted to know, could we get a cardiologist to check my father?" And he looked at me and he said, "A what?" I said, "A cardiologist." He said, "What's a cardiologist?" I said, "Well, you're a doctor. Cardio means vascular. Logos to be to stem the word, to study steps, a heart specialist." And then I realized what it was. He was angry that I was using medical terms because of being, I said, my father's not complaining about pains in the thoracic area of his body and his abdomen. He said, "Well, if you want me to resolve the case, we will." I said, "No, we don't have any money. That's why my dad's here." I said, "My mother's crying." My dad said, "Please help me, son." I said, he said, "Oh, my stomach hurts, my stomach hurts." He said, "Well, he's an old man." He's going to say he was an old black man. I will never forget any of this. And he said, "If you want me to withdraw, I will." I said, "No, because we don't have any money." He said, "Well, he's going to die anyhow." So nothing else I could do to go back and tell my mother and my dad still crying. The next day, my daddy died, and I was right there beside him. And his last words were, "Son, you have to take care of the family now." And he pointed at the foot of the bed. My sister, one of my sisters, and especially her, my one sister was the black sheep of the family. She's always in trouble. He said, and especially her. And he put his hand down, took 2 breaths, and he died. And my mother looked at me and she said, "Son, don't you hate that doctor what he did here, Daddy? You pray for him." And I don't hate that doctor. A bishop in Iowa State 3 years ago had a lunch with him, and he said, "You have hate in your heart." I said, "I don't have any room in my heart for hate. I only have room for love, and love is stronger than hate." Now, these wonderful policemen, I sing for the Iowa Patrol every year on the Capitol in Des Moines. The governor's always there. And I get along with all those policemen. Because I know you get a bad rap. But you know, policemen are human beings. We are all human beings. And in various areas of my field of office, in my country, I was really unjustly treated by officers, by officer directors and opera houses. I was singing with Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, you know these names, right?
Sure.
Jose Paredes, all these great tenors. I was singing leading bass roles in the operas in one of our famous opera houses in the early 70s, and these gentlemen were all getting between $15,000 and $20,000 a performance. And they paid me $257 a performance. And told my manager, Columbia Artist Management, that was my management, they said, "Take it or leave it." I had to take it because I needed to sing Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, you know, those are famous tenors. But I didn't hate that man at all. Then eventually I sang later on, and he paid me more. I never have been, even to this day, I've never been paid what my white colleagues are paid, singing the same repertoire that I sang. But I want you to know I'm telling you this, not to give pity, not wanting you to feel sorry for me, but just to make a statement that courage and forgiveness and love, they're all stronger than hate and injustice. And there are enough of us in this world today that we're going to keep working and always try to strive that we can get justice for all people. The last little thing I will mention is when she mentioned about some of the things I do. I was invited to sing in the grand finale concert in 2010 in Johannesburg, South Africa, for the World Cup. And the president was there. It was in the Coca-Cola Dome in Johannesburg, 12,000 people there. And before I went out to sing, the moderator mentioned that 90% of all the malaria deaths in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa. And every 30 seconds, a child 5 years of age and under was dying from a mosquito bite. And 1 million children were dying every year. And I didn't know that. We eradicated malaria in the United States in 1951, 1952. We eradicated malaria. I didn't know that this still existed. And the moderator told me before I went out to sing, she said, "Now you talk about yourself." So I went out to people before I sang. I said, "I'm not going to talk about myself," even though they asked me to. I said, "I didn't know that this was happening in Africa, that 1 million children were dying every year from a mosquito bite." So I came back to the States, and my wife and I flew to Washington, D.C. in 2013. It took me 3 years before God laid it on my heart and said, "Simon, you got to do something." So we fly out to the United Nations Foundation, met with them, and they said, "It's really true." I said, "And all they need is a $5 treated net under which to sleep?" They said, "Yes." Remember, this is 2013 that I'm talking about now. So how many children have died in the last 20 years before 2013? They said 20 million children are dying in this world today. So I decided to do a big benefit policy and run a professor at Iowa State. I've been there for 19 years as a professor. I got students from 52 different high schools in Iowa, and then acquired over 1,000 students at the benefit policy. And all the students had white blouses with shirts and black trousers. They looked like men. We did that concert, we raised over $100,000. I gave all the money to the United Nations Foundation. And I said to them, I'm going to try to raise that money to $5 million. So she mentioned that I just started an award program just this past June. I worked very hard against businessmen in Des Moines. Some used to be even local names and organizations. And I told this one very wealthy man here in Iowa, I said, I will work for the money if you can help me raise more money and save these children's lives. So I sang lots of concerts and did everything. And just this last June, and this is not to impress you, but I think it was already $532,000 and gave it all to the United Nations Foundation. 1 million children were still dying in 2013. We brought it down to like 71%. $700,000 saved. Here in Iowa, my wife and I was a professor at Boston University for many years. While I was there, I did lectures at Harvard and did things for MIT, I did lectures at Duke University, and many universities and conservatives around the world. And my wife said, Simon, you need to slow down. Because I went to Boston University, Iowa State, worked with college, singing all around the world. Why don't you just go to Iowa and help children in Iowa? So I was an obedient husband who came back to Iowa, decided I'd try to sing in all 99 counties. I've done 55 counties now, including Johnson County. I give 50% of my fee into the Simon Estes Foundation, and we've given over $200,000 this past 2 years of scholarships to high school graduating seniors. Now, 99% of all these scholarships are to white students. But they're human beings, and colors are human beings. And so when we want to help people, we must not look at color. We must just look at another human being that has 2 legs, 2 feet, etc., and we have to help. And then, if somebody mistreats us, we must forgive, because that's what Jesus taught us to do. And I can't tell you how much I really love Jesus, because he's the one who has given me the courage and determination to love and to forgive and to work hard and to be kind. That wonderful 13th chapter of Corinthians, the love chapter. It's a beautiful chapter. And so kindness, to be kind, to help, to love, to care, these are beautiful qualities that we all have. And it all started with me, with my mother and dad, and they gave me birth in Centerville. When I came to Iowa City, it was some of the happiest times of my life when I came to Iowa City. And then I went to New York, and then to Berlin, and all around the world. But I don't feel any different today, except I know I've been blessed. And I did when I was here in Iowa City. Scrubbing floors to get money to get to college, university, washing windows, cleaning toilets. People speak plates for the Iowa Press Citizen. I work from 12 to midnight to get those plates for One year, my father died. I worked at college radio, full-time student, 40 hours a week. Worked the shift from 4 in the afternoon to 1. Had class the next morning at 7 o'clock. I supported my mother and my brother. Had an adopted brother. My one sister was naughty, had a baby out of wedlock. But all of these things I look at as challenges in life, because they help us to become strong and to care about somebody else. So I remember Joe Butterfield, I just met you tonight when I saw you come up here. Where are you? There you are, yes. invited you to come, and I'm sure I'm very happy to come. And you're wonderful people because you believe in diversity, you believe in diplomacy, you believe in caring, you realize we have different cultures all around the world. I could go on for hours and have been in all these different countries and talk a lot about culture and diplomacy and all of this, but I just want to thank you for letting me share some of my experiences with all of you. I admire what you do. I pray that you continue to do that. And I'm not singling out anyone around. Please do know that I just love you with all my heart.
Thank you.